William and Charles have now reached the stage where they do not want to meet with Harry in private because they are so worried that what he might be told during those behind-the-scenes meetings.
For weeks, the royal family seemed trapped under constant scrutiny, with every move dissected and every silence questioned. But this time, something shifted in a way almost no one saw coming. Instead of reacting with statements or controversy, King Charles and Prince William stepped forward with calm, calculated moves that changed the entire mood around the monarchy. And as their actions unfolded on the world stage, attention turned sharply toward Prince Harry, whose position in this unfolding story appeared more complicated than ever, leaving many stunned. So, what do you think? Is this a genuine royal comeback from William and Charles? And where does that leave Harry in all of this unfolding shift? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover more royal stories, please subscribe. The monarchy quietly strikes back. After weeks of non-stop criticism, many people began to feel that the British royal family was slowly losing control of their own story. Every week brought new headlines, new opinions, and growing pressure from both the media and the public. It seemed as if the situation was getting harder to manage, and some even believed the weight of it all was finally starting to affect the monarchy in a deep way. But this week brought a surprising change that shifted how many people were thinking. Instead of confusion, conflict, or silence that felt uncertain, something very different appeared. It was calm strength, steady and quiet, but very clear in its message. King Charles and Prince William chose not to respond with arguments or long public statements. They did not try to fight every claim or defend themselves in the public eye. Instead, they continued their duties with focus and patience, appearing at events and carrying out their responsibilities without distraction. This simple approach changed the mood completely. Where there was once tension and noise, there was now a sense of order and control. People began to notice that the royal family was not breaking apart under pressure, but instead standing firm in a quiet way. Their presence alone started to speak louder than any response could. Without adding fuel to the public debate, they showed discipline and unity, which slowly shifted how the situation was being viewed. In a world where public figures often rush to respond to every criticism, their silence felt powerful. It showed that not every challenge needs a direct answer, and not every opinion deserves a reaction. By the end of the week, the image of the monarchy looked different again. It no longer felt chaotic or uncertain. Instead, it felt steady, composed, and more united than it had been in a long time, leaving many people surprised by how much could change without a single argument being made. Many observers now say this moment may mark a quiet turning point for the monarchy, where actions speak louder than reactions, and patience becomes a form of strength. Whether the pressure returns or not, the week showed something simple but powerful. Calm leadership can still shape public perception in a noisy modern world. That is what made the difference this week in every way possible for everyone watching. At a time when many believed the British monarchy was losing its authority, King Charles and his heir stepped in to regain control of the narrative. But how are they asserting their presence and respect? What approach are they using? And is this effort limited to Britain alone, or is it being felt on a global stage as well? Let's find out. King Charles takes control. King Charles III stood before the United States Congress and made history as only the second British monarch ever to address it.
Charles addressed a joint meeting of Congress, becoming only the second British monarch to do so. Here is some of what we heard.
His speech carried a calm but serious tone, focusing on climate change, shared global values, and the long friendship between Britain and America. Some critics called it too political, but the reaction told a different story. The speech commanded attention, respect, and even rare political unity inside the room among lawmakers who rarely agree. Later that night at the White House state dinner, King Charles shifted tone completely, becoming funny, warm, and relaxed. Guests responded strongly, and even Donald Trump publicly praised the moment.
Charles, on having made a fantastic speech today at Congress, he got the Democrats to stand. I've never been able to do that.
What was expected to be a formal diplomatic visit turned into a clear success for both sides. Many observers said the contrast between the formal speech and the relaxed dinner showed a rare kind of diplomatic skill. It was not just about words, but about presence, timing, and emotional balance. In a world where public figures are often judged instantly, the visit stood out as carefully managed and surprisingly effective. The visit also strengthened perceptions of continuity between Britain and the United States, reminding many of the long history shared by the two nations. While opinions about the monarchy will always differ, this moment was widely seen as one that achieved its diplomatic purpose and left a positive impression across political lines. In many ways, the events of that day showed how modern diplomacy is no longer only about official statements or strict protocol. It is also about connection, tone, and the ability to move smoothly between seriousness and warmth. That balance helped turn a formal occasion into a memorable and widely discussed moment. For many watching around the world, it was a reminder that influence can be expressed in quiet ways, not only loud speeches or public debates. The combination of history, tone, and timing made the visit stand out as one of the more talked about royal diplomatic moments in recent memory. It left behind a simple but strong message about calm leadership and effective communication in a tense global environment. That impression continued to shape discussions long after the event ended, showing how one carefully handled moment can influence public opinion far beyond the room in which it happens. King Charles made a historic speech at the White House where he was hosted by Donald Trump. But what was Trump's unpredictable reaction to his speech? Did the address lead to a tense moment between the two leaders, or did it instead strengthen their mutual respect for each other and their countries? Let's uncover the details. Unexpected diplomacy in action. One of the most surprising parts of the entire visit was how naturally King Charles III handled his meeting with Donald Trump. Many people expected a tense or awkward moment, mainly because Trump is known for being unpredictable and for often stepping outside the usual rules of formal diplomacy. But what actually happened was very different from what many had imagined. Instead of stiffness or political tension, the atmosphere between the two men felt surprisingly relaxed. There were light jokes, easy smiles, and moments of friendly exchange that made the setting feel less like a strict political meeting and more like a warm international conversation.
King Charles made history Tuesday when he became the first British king to address Congress.
Even when the discussions moved towards serious topics like global security and international cooperation, the mood did not suddenly become cold or uncomfortable. The tone stayed steady and controlled. Both sides managed to keep things calm, respectful, and focused without allowing disagreement or personality differences to disrupt the flow of the visit. What stood out most to many observers was how personal the interaction felt at times. Despite the high level of politics involved, there was a sense of ease that is not always seen in meetings between world leaders. It suggested a kind of mutual understanding, or at least a willingness to keep the relationship smooth and respectful in public view. As the visit continued, that balance between formality and warmth remained consistent. There was no public clash, no visible frustration, and no dramatic moment that negatively shifted the tone. Instead, everything stayed carefully managed but still natural enough to feel genuine. By the end of the visit, many observers came to one clear conclusion. Whatever political differences may exist between leaders or countries, the relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States remains strong at its core. This meeting did not just follow tradition, it reinforced it in a very visible and public way. For supporters of diplomacy, the visit was seen as a reminder that international relationships are not only built through agreements and policies, but also through personal interactions and tone. A calm conversation, even between very different personalities, can still carry meaning. In the end, the encounter showed that even in a world of strong opinions and divided politics, moments of respect and ease can still appear at the highest level, leaving a lasting impression on those who watched closely. Beyond the moment of mutual respect between King Charles and Donald Trump during the royal visit to America, where Prince Harry resides, how did Harry feel about his father's historic trip? Was he pleased, or did it raise concerns about his place within the political and traditional landscape? What is his position on the visit? Let's dive into the details. Harry's quiet concern. While King Charles III was carrying out his historic visit in Washington, a very different reaction was quietly building in the background within the circle of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. While the official events were focused on diplomacy and international relations, the conversation around the visit also began to take a more personal and sensitive turn. Reports suggest that Prince Harry felt uneasy about the political atmosphere surrounding the trip, especially after Donald Trump made public remarks that appeared to reference both him and Meghan Markle. These comments, made in the lead-up to and during the royal visit, added an unexpected layer of tension to an already closely watched international moment. According to sources close to the situation, Harry understands that his father's role requires engagement with world leaders, even those who are controversial or unpredictable. He is said to accept that such meetings are part of royal duty and diplomacy. However, there is believed to be discomfort about how personal the discussion around him and Meghan has become, especially when it happens during formal state events. At one point, Donald Trump even addressed Harry directly in comments made to reporters. He made light jokes about Harry and Meghan, while also suggesting that Harry does not represent Britain in any official way. Although the remarks were made in a casual tone, they still added pressure to an already emotionally sensitive situation. For many observers, this created a strange and complicated moment. What was meant to be a formal diplomatic visit involving world leaders suddenly overlapped with personal history and public opinion about members of the royal family who were not physically present. It became a rare situation where global politics, royal duty, and private relationships all seemed to come together in the same space. The official tone of the visit remained calm on the surface, but behind it, different emotional reactions were quietly unfolding. Insiders suggest that for Prince Harry, moments like this are not easy to ignore. Even from a distance, seeing personal references enter the political stage during a major royal event can feel uncomfortable and deeply complicated. In the end, the situation highlighted how closely public life and private history can sometimes overlap for members of the royal family, especially when global leaders, media attention, and personal relationships all intersect at once. While Harry acknowledged that the state visit was necessary, he also revealed his concerns, especially after Trump commented on his family. But is the situation the same for his brother in Britain? What was the heir doing while his father was making this historic visit? And what does it reveal about his place in the monarchy? Let's uncover the details. A quiet royal message of stability. While King Charles was making headlines abroad, another quieter but meaningful moment was unfolding back home in the United Kingdom. Prince William and Princess Catherine quietly marked their 15th wedding anniversary, choosing to celebrate simply and privately rather than with a public event. They released a new family photograph showing them together with their children and even their dogs, a warm image that showed closeness, stability, and normal family life. But what made the moment stand out was not just the celebration itself, but the timing behind it. At the same time, King Charles's visit was capturing global attention. William's quiet gesture reminded people of something deeper: stability and continuity within the monarchy. There were no speeches or explanations, only a simple image, but it carried a strong message of calm unity and a sense of the future already taking shape. In a moment filled with international headlines and political attention, this small family gesture stood out for its quiet emotional power and understated meaning. Public reaction to the image was immediate, with many people noting how different it felt compared to the usual formal royal announcements. Instead of a ceremony or a staged appearance, it felt natural, almost personal, as if the family had shared a private moment with the world. Many observers said it helped soften the public mood around the monarchy, shifting attention away from politics and back toward family life and continuity. It also highlighted how Prince William and Princess Catherine are increasingly seen as the future face of the monarchy, representing a more modern and steady direction. Without needing speeches or long explanations, their actions often speak for them, shaping public perception in a quiet but powerful way. This anniversary post reinforced that image, showing stability, family unity, and a sense of calm leadership at a time when the world was focused elsewhere for many watching closely at the moment in the public eye today. In the end, the timing of the photograph alongside King Charles's international duties created a strong contrast between global leadership and quiet family unity, both working together to shape the monarchy's public image. It showed that while one part of the royal family represented represents diplomacy and state affairs, another continues to reflect personal stability and connection to the public today. Together, these moments quietly strengthened the monarchy's image across the world again. While King Charles was actively representing the monarchy in the US, Prince William was marking his anniversary with his wife in Britain, sharing a photo full of meaning. But could this image carry a message beyond a polished family portrait? What deeper message might be hidden within it? Now, let's uncover a family photo that said more than words ever could. A family photo that captured hearts. At first glance, the photograph looked very simple, almost ordinary. It showed a family moment that did not seem designed to impress or shock anyone. But as more people looked at it closely, the image began to stand out quietly and powerfully. The children appeared relaxed and natural, without the stiffness that often comes with official royal photos. There was a sense of comfort in the way they were positioned, as if they were simply enjoying a normal family moment rather than posing for the public. Catherine, Princess of Wales, also appeared calm, healthy, and genuinely happy. Her expression carried warmth rather than formality, giving the picture a soft and human feel that many people connected with immediately. Prince William looked equally at ease. There was no visible tension or forced posture. Instead, he seemed relaxed, as if the moment captured a real break from duties and public pressure. That sense of ease made the image feel more personal than official. Even the presence of their dogs played an important role in shaping the feeling of the photograph. It added a layer of everyday life that many people could relate to. The dogs made the scene feel lived in, not staged, as if the camera had simply stepped into a real family moment rather than a carefully arranged setup. In today's world, where public figures often rely on highly controlled and heavily edited images, this photograph stood out for a very different reason. It did not try too hard to impress. There were no dramatic poses, no heavy symbolism, and no overly polished presentation meant to send a loud message. Instead, its strength came from its simplicity. The more people studied it, the more natural it felt, and that is exactly why it connected so strongly with so many viewers. It reminded people that sometimes the most powerful images are not the ones designed to be perfect, but the ones that feel honest. A simple moment of family life, captured without pressure, can sometimes speak louder than any formal announcement or carefully written statement. In the end, the photograph worked not because it demanded attention, but because it did the opposite. It quietly invited people in, and that made all the difference. Beyond Prince William reinforcing what the monarchy truly represents with a memorable moment in Britain, was Harry keeping his father company in the United States, where he resides, and therefore missing this important moment? Or did he neither visit his father nor pay attention to the historic visit? Let's uncover the surprising details. The claim that sparked a storm. While all of this was unfolding in the public eye, attention slowly shifted toward Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, drawing a different kind of interest away from the main royal events. Reports suggested that they did not watch the major speeches delivered by King Charles during his high-profile moments abroad. According to briefings shared in the media, there were no signs that they followed the speeches live, watched them later, or engaged with them in any direct way. It was also claimed that there were no phone calls, no messages, and no public or private comments exchanged around the time of these important royal appearances. At first, this might have seemed like a simple note about distance or separation, but instead of closing the discussion, it actually did the opposite. It opened up even more questions and reactions across public conversations. Many observers began to wonder why such a detail needed to be highlighted at all. If there was truly a lack of contact or involvement, some people asked, why bring attention to it in the first place? Others felt that the timing of the claim made it even more noticeable, especially during a period when royal activities were already under global focus. For critics and commentators, one simple explanation seemed to stand out. They believed that the strong reaction around this small detail showed something deeper, that the story of the royal family, including Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, still holds a powerful place in public attention. Even when there is silence, that silence itself becomes part of the conversation. In other words, the lack of engagement did not reduce interest. It may have increased it. people continued to discuss what it meant, why it mattered, and how it fit into the wider picture of royal relationships and public perception. Some also pointed out that modern royal coverage often turns even small details into larger discussions. A simple claim about who watched or did not watch a speech can quickly grow into debates about distance, family ties, and public image. In the end, the situation showed how closely the royal story is still followed. Even absence can become meaningful, and even silence can spark a reaction. For many watching, it was another reminder that when it comes to the royal family, every detail, spoken or unspoken, can still shape the public conversation greatly. Prince Harry reportedly claimed he neither watched his father's historic speech live nor later. But what does this say about the royal family? Does it mean he wants nothing to do with the monarchy his father represents? And how realistic is it for him to truly ignore everything connected to the throne? Let's find out. A growing divide. This week made one thing impossible to ignore. The royal family appears to be moving in two very different directions. On one side, King Charles continues to carry out international duties while managing ongoing health challenges, showing a steady commitment to his role. Alongside him, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are shaping a calm image of the future monarchy, focused on stability, family, and duty. On the other side, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are often seen in a different space, where media attention, public messaging, and personal choices strongly shape their story. Even when they say they have moved on from royal life, the conversation around them continues to follow them, often refusing to fade completely from public discussion. Observers say this growing separation is less about formal distance and more about different ways of handling public life in a modern media world. While one part of the family leans into traditional duty and visible service, the other operates more independently, focusing on personal control of their public image. This difference does not erase their shared history, but it does change how the public interprets every action, appearance, or silence from each side. For many people watching, the royal story now feels less like one single narrative and more like two parallel journeys unfolding at the same time. One is rooted in continuity, tradition, and public service, while the other is shaped by independence, personal expression, and global media attention. And even though each side moves in its own direction, public interest continues to connect them, keeping their stories linked in the wider royal conversation. This ongoing attention shows how difficult it is for any part of the royal family to fully step out of the shared spotlight that comes with their history. Ultimately, this week highlighted not just differences, but also how deeply connected these different paths remain in the eyes of the world. Whether through duty, family moments, or media headlines, the royal family continues to be seen as one story split into multiple directions, and that contrast is what keeps public discussion active long after the events themselves have passed. William and his father remain focused on representing the monarchy, while Harry is committed to his own life away from it. But what message are William and his father sending, even without saying a word? Now let's explore how King Charles and Prince William quietly redefined the royal narrative. No noise, just power. By the end of the week, the contrast in the royal story was impossible to ignore. On one side, the monarchy appeared steady and deliberate, choosing not to engage in public arguments or emotional reactions. Instead, it focused on duty, planned events, and visible service that spoke for itself. King Charles continued with a major state visit abroad, carrying out formal duties that highlighted diplomacy and international relationships. At the same time, Prince William helped project a calm and consistent image of the future, with public appearances that emphasized stability and family unity. Rather than responding directly to criticism or ongoing media stories, the royal approach this week leaned heavily on presence and action. The message was not spoken loudly, but it was shown through carefully managed public moments that kept attention on responsibility rather than conflict. Meanwhile, the Sussex side, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, remained part of the wider conversation, but mostly through media interpretations, briefings, and reactions from outside voices rather than direct engagement. This difference created a clear contrast in how each side of the royal story is currently being viewed. One side appeared focused on structured duty and visible tradition, while the other was often discussed through commentary, analysis, and public speculation. And that is why this particular week stood out so strongly. It was not marked by loud statements or public disputes, but by the way silence and action shaped perception. Without raising their voices even once, King Charles and Prince William managed to influence the tone of the entire conversation around the monarchy. They did not rely on drama, confrontation, or direct replies to criticism. Instead, they used timing, consistency, and visible engagement to shift attention back toward duty. In contrast, Harry and Meghan, whether intentionally or not, remained connected to the ongoing discussion about the royal family. Even without direct involvement, their names continued to surface in conversations, reminding observers that their story is still closely tied to the broader royal narrative. In the end, the week showed how differently public image can be shaped, depending on whether one chooses to speak, act, or remain silent. And in this case, presence alone became a powerful form of communication. In many ways, this week highlighted how modern monarchy is no longer defined only by speeches or formal announcements, but also by quiet decisions, timing, and how each moment is presented to the world. While different branches of the family continue to follow their own paths, the public still connects their stories as one ongoing narrative. This shared attention ensures that every action, or even lack of action, becomes part of a larger picture that keeps evolving in the eyes of people watching around the world, across the globe today and beyond. What do you think about Charles and William redefining the monarchy's image? Has Harry been left outside royal affairs? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.